When you run Draw to AutoCAD, CPMCAD can place resource symbols directly on your Gantt bars, small icons that show who or what is assigned to each task. In this video, we'll cover how that works, how to size your blocks correctly, and the one thing you need to do before drawing the schedule. Everything in CPMCAD is scaled relative to a 0.1 drawing unit text height. That's an industry standard for schedule graphics. The Gantt bars, the date headers, the milestone diamonds, they're all sized to be legible and proportional at that standard. Resource symbols follow the same logic. CPMCAD reserves a space of 0.16 units wide by 0.13 units tall for each symbol, with a 0.05 unit gap between them. These aren't arbitrary numbers. They're designed so that the resource icons sit neatly above the bar without overwhelming the schedule or disappearing into it. So how do you author a block at the right size? Here's our approach. Draw a rectangle 0.16 by 0.13 right in your drawing template. That rectangle is your bounding box, your sizing guide. Now draw your symbol inside it, a hard hat, a crane, a person icon, initials, whatever represents that resource. Keep it within the rectangle. When you're ready, just select the symbol geometry, not the rectangle. Run the block command, give it a name. For the base point, pick the bottom left corner of the rectangle. That's the insertion point CPMCAD uses to position the symbol above the bar. So getting that right ensures your icon lands exactly where it should. The rectangle is just your sizing guide. Don't include it in the block definition unless you want to. You can delete it afterward or keep it around as a template for your next symbol. One important detail, draw your block geometry on layer 0 with properties set to by layer. This is standard AutoCAD practice, and it matters here. When CPMCAD inserts a block reference, it places it on the appropriate resource layer, CPM Resources Equipment, CPM Resources Person, etc. If your block geometry lives on layer 0 with by-layer properties, it inherits the color and properties of that resource layer. That means your crane icon takes on the color assigned to the CPM Resources Equipment layer. Your person icon takes on the color of the CPM Resources Person layer automatically. If you set explicit colors on your block geometry instead, those colors will override the layer and stay fixed regardless of which resource layer that block is inserted on. And you're not locked into one approach. For example, we prefer to give each person their own color inside their block definition. So Mark G is one color, Sarah T is another, even though they're all inserted on the same CPM Resources Person layer. That way we could visually distinguish individuals at a glance, but could freeze one layer to hide all person resources at once. You might prefer everything by layer for a uniform look, or mix and match depending on the resource type. Equipment by layer so it's all orange, people with custom colors so you can tell them apart. It's your schedule, use whatever makes it easiest to read. And because each resource type gets its own layer, you have full control over visibility. Want to see just the crew assignments? Freeze the other resource layers. Need a clean Gantt with no resource clutter for a client presentation? Freeze them all. Want a plot without resources? Same thing. This only works correctly when your blocks are drawn on layer 0. If you draw them on a named layer, they'll stay that layer's color and visibility regardless of where CPMCAD inserts them, and freezing the resource layers won't hide the geometry inside. In your Excel file, open the Resources worksheet. The block name column is where you type the exact name of the AutoCAD block you defined. The name column is how you reference the resource on your activities, and the type column, person, crew, equipment, or agency, controls which layer CPMCAD places the symbol on, which drives the color and freeze behavior we just talked about. On the activities sheet, the resource column is where you make assignments. Type the resource name and the number of units in parentheses. 2 inspectors on a task, that gives you 2 symbols, spaced side by side on the Gantt bar. When you hit Draw to AutoCAD, CPMCAD reads each resource assignment, looks up the block name, and checks if that block exists in the drawing. If it finds it, it inserts a named block reference just above the bar. If it doesn't find it, maybe the block hasn't been defined yet, or there's a typo in the name, it draws a solid rectangle as a placeholder. That placeholder is just raw geometry. It won't convert to a block after the fact. And here's where the named block reference pays off. Because CPMCAD inserts standard AutoCAD block references, not copied geometry, if you redefine a block later, every instance on the schedule updates automatically. Change your crane icon once, and it changes everywhere. That's just AutoCAD doing what AutoCAD does. So remember the workflow. Define your blocks on layer 0 at the correct size. Assign block names and resource types in Excel, then draw to AutoCAD. Get that right and you'll have clean, layered, updatable resource symbols on every bar. For more tutorials on how to use CPMCAD, visit cpmcad.com.